What's up, everybody? Back again. I know it's been a while again, and I said that I was going to do better and get back onto it, and I didn't. But I'm here to explain why. What's been going on in my life? It's been crazy. So, oh, my wife and I have been looking for a bigger house for our family for probably about a year and a half. The house that we were living in, was getting too small. We've outgrown it, and it was just hard. But in order to buy a new house, we had to sell our current house first. Um, and we weren't fully ready to do that because there wasn't a lot on the market. So we put in an offer on a few houses and whatnot throughout the last year and a half, and nothing really stuck. Now I might have a little bit of a cough because I am fighting allergies and sinus stuff. So bear with me. But at the beginning of April, on April 4th, we decided that we were going to go to an open house and look at a house. And that house wasn't great, but we also decided to go look at another one that was on the market for a while. And we ended up putting in an offer contingent on us selling our house, which again wasn't ready to be sold yet because we procrastinated too much. And we expected to, you know, wait a few days before we heard back from them, but we put in the offer April 4th, and we had an accepted offer with the contingency on April 4th. So then we spent the next week jamming out to pack up the house enough to declutter it and get it picture ready for listing it for sale. And that was a lot. And I realized that through that, there was some procrastination on our part that really hindered us and made this process so much harder. And the house that we put an offer in isn't, it's livable, but it's not very nice. It's outdated. It needs a lot of cosmetic love. So we're working on that, but we couldn't do anything with the new house until we owned it. So we spent a week and a half cleaning and packing in order to get the house listed. And then we got the house listed for sale on Friday, I believe the 10th. No, it was Friday the 17th of April. And we had a bunch of showings. We had to keep the house clean and all that stuff and just, go about doing everything that we needed to do while getting funding and doing with the paperwork with the bank for the new house. And we did that. And by April 20th, we had a offer on our house that we were selling that we accepted. Now we had to go through the process with the buyers. They were doing an FHA loan, so they had to do their inspections and fix some of that stuff. So it was a long process, and it was very hectic. And then work picked up a bit, and I just didn't have the time to do any of this. And I'm making the time right now because it's important to me. This is important to me. This is what I was put here to do, is to spread the word, but also share my story in hopes that it helps somebody. Because there's a lot here. And the fact that I'm sitting here recording with somewhat of a smile on my face, the fact that I'm upright, I'm not curled into a ball in the fetal position somewhere in a dark corner, is amazing to me with everything that I have going on right now. And there's only one reason for that, and it's because I know Jesus. And I know that without him, with everything that's been going on, this would be a very different conversation. So now, as we go through this process, our closing date was originally supposed to be May 22nd, and we were working on getting there. And the FHA inspection determined that they needed to paint the outside of the house in order for the bank to say, okay, we're good to go. Because the paint was peeling, it's an older house, so they claim lead-based paint and all that stuff, which is not, it's not that old. But we have to do what they need because otherwise the bank won't give them the money. And luckily enough, the buyers decided that they were going to paint the house themselves, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I was very grateful for that. So our closing date got moved, and once we got everything all situated, we pushed to have our closing date on the 26th, which was this past Tuesday. That way we would have the 3-day Memorial Day weekend to move all of our furniture. And it was looking good for that. On Wednesday, May 20th, we got the news that we were cleared to close on the 26th for both houses, which means we were all set to go to move and take the 3-day weekend to move all of our furniture over to the new house. And then we took Tuesday off so we could do the closings. Unfortunately, though, that same day of May 20th, I got some very uncertain news about my health. Now, I mentioned that I'm congested and dealing with allergies and stuff, and that's been an ongoing battle, but I've had some other issues going on that I was working on trying to figure out so that way I could just, feel better. And I was having some, pressure in my belly here and some kidney pain, but I think some of that is dehydration and because I'm sick, and as much as I do drink, I need to drink even more because I'm sick, but also I was coughing a lot, so I was definitely hurting the muscles. So they sent me for an ultrasound of my belly to, just check everything out. And on May 20th, I got a phone call from my doctor that they found a 3 centimeter lesion, it's like a ball, on my liver that doesn't belong there. So now I have to deal with all that and figure that out. And it could be nothing. It could be something super serious. We just don't know. But miraculously, I did let the bad news on Wednesday overshadow the good news for a good bit of it. And then somebody who I really cared about told me that it's only going to overshadow it if I let it. And there was a lot of emotions with the whole thing, and I decided at that moment that we're going to celebrate the new house instead of worrying about my health at the moment. Because we don't know. It's not like I have a diagnosis saying what it is. We just got to go do some more testing. And as uncertain as that news was, I was still able to finish my work week. I did a 52-hour work week, which is where I like to be for my hours for work. And it's crazy to me that I was able to do that after getting that kind of news because like I said, before I knew Jesus, it would have been a very different story. And I'm still going. And then we fast forward to the weekend to move everything, and it rained the entire weekend. So luckily, I was able to borrow my buddy's enclosed trailer, which was the only saving grace to get this done. Otherwise, we would have not made it with all the rain. But we also didn't have as much help as we had hoped for with moving everything. So my wife and I did so much ourselves and just kind of wore ourselves down. And unfortunately, we were so busy with moving that we didn't spend enough time with God. We didn't listen to music. We didn't pray enough, and it severely hurt our mental state. And while we're doing all this moving, there's still the uncertainty of my health. And then I needed to schedule an MRI, and then I finally got to schedule the MRI, and I had to schedule it for Tuesday morning, the same day that we were going to close on both of the houses, because it was either that or wait, and I didn't want to wait. So Tuesday came, and I did go and get my MRI. I still don't have the results back from it yet. But we ended up selling our house at 11 a.m. and then we bought the new house at 1 p.m. So we're in the new house now. But the new house isn't ready for us to fully bring everything in. Like, the bedrooms need to be painted, they need flooring before we can bring our beds in. So we've been sleeping on the couch this week, and it has been a little difficult. But we're there. We're in the new house, and the new space is it's incredible, and it's going to be a lot of work. But I'm excited that we get to make it our own right off the rip because Our old house, we lived in it for 4.5 years, and we just adapted to what was there. So it's really cool that we get to make it our own and customize it right off the bat. But it's still a lot of work, and I'm still working full time, and so is my wife. So we've been busy, and that's a lot of the reason why I've been absent. But also, like, not only knowing Jesus has helped me with my health and not freaking out about it, which I normally would be. There's no doubt in my mind that without knowing Jesus, I would be unable to get out of bed. That's how crippling the anxiety would have been. But also, like, I want to talk about this whole house situation because, like, this house was a gift from God. On paper, it makes no sense that I was able to buy this house for as much as I paid for it in the time frame that we got it done. And the only explanation for that is this was God's plan for us. This is a gift from Him. And I'm excited to see what this house turns into and what He does through us in this space. In our old house, we didn't have space to entertain or have people over, and now we do. And because we're here now, and I'm going through this uncertainty of my health, I don't think this is the end of my story. I think we're just getting started. And with everything going on, there's just there's more for me here, and I know that, and I believe that. And regardless of what they find in the scan, I'm gonna fight it. It's not like I'm just gonna keel over and die tomorrow. And maybe we found something early that we wouldn't have normally caught. But regardless, I have peace because I know God has good plans for me. I know He wants the best for me, and I don't think this is the end of my story. But also, I've told you guys in the past that the way He talks to me a lot is through sermons that I listen to. And on Friday, on my way to work, I was praying heavily, and I turned on a sermon. And the sermon that came on, it was a part of a sermon. It wasn't a full sermon, but the message of that part was, the hardest part is behind you, and this illness is not the end of your story. And this isn't the first time that my prayers have been answered through a sermon. And I fully believe that that was His response to me, that this isn't the end of my story. And here I am, still working, still doing stuff with the house, and I have peace. I still need to know what's going on with my body. There's still a chance that it's not something insignificant. But I trust that no matter what it is, God's got me. And that's where I find my peace. And I know I mentioned it with the house being a gift from God, but there's so much that adds up to get to this point from before I even knew God, before I even believed in Him. When we bought our old house, it was during COVID 2021, where houses were bidding wars, flying off the market so quickly, and I didn't want to get a pre-approval because I didn't want to keep hitting my credit and bringing my score down. So we didn't, but when we talked to several realtors, they were super excited about helping us, and then when it came time to actually help us, they were gone. They would never respond. They didn't want to do anything, and it was really discouraging. We went through 4 different realtors, and then one Sunday, we went to a listing that was close by just to look at the outside of it because we were bored. And we decided we're just going to call the number on the sign. What's the worst that's going to happen? And that's when we met our realtor. And that was like 5 years ago? And the road that she was driving on never has service. And if it does, it's not enough to have a conversation. But that day, it did. We were able to have a full conversation, and she showed up at the house to meet us 10 minutes later. And she's been a friend of ours ever since, not just a realtor. She helped us buy the house that we bought during COVID that never hit the market, so it didn't go into a bidding war. It was a great option in our price range at the time. And we ended up selling it for more than we paid for it, so we got some equity out of it that we're going to use to renovate the new house. But like all these little things just keep adding up, and it's just when you start counting the blessings of what God has done for you, it's just they don't stop. I can't count them. There's way too many, and it's cool that even before I started walking with Him, He was pouring out His love on me, and that's where I found a lot of my peace through this whole trial of uncertainty with my health, because I do take my health seriously for the most part. Obviously, I'm a little overweight, and I need to get better with my eating habits. But like, I try to be healthy and avoid like the really bad things. Not that I am perfect, but who is? And we're gonna fight this, and I'm not fighting this alone because I have God in my side. He's in my corner. He's gonna fight with me. He's gonna fight for me. And in the new house, I'm gonna make recording studio space. Right now, obviously, I'm in my van again. And you guys know that I like to do it in my van because it's a quiet place with the generic backdrop of my cage. So it makes it a little bit easier. And at my previous house, there was just nowhere good for me to sit down and do this. But in the new house, we're going to set up some space. And I'm not saying it's going to only be in the house, but it just gives me another option for when I'm busy and I don't have the time to do it during the day. Because if it's dark in here, it's kind of hard to record, and that was a lot of my struggle. Was that by the time I got done, it was too dark, and it was just I didn't want to have all the lights on. It just didn't look very good. Which again, it's silly, but I do want this to be good. But I don't want it to be good for my gain. I want it to be good for His gain, because the reason why I'm doing this is to bring Him glory and show Him the appreciation I have for all the stuff that He's done for me, and help you guys, whether you believe or don't believe, you know, come to know Him more. Maybe you start believing in Him. I know these videos have made a difference to some people, and it's been really rewarding in this season of not being able to do this and having so much going on, that I've heard from other people, several people, that these videos have helped them. So this isn't the end for me. I have a lot more to record, and I'm going to do it as I can. It might not be a consistent upload schedule right now, but I'm not going away. This isn't the end of my story, and you guys are coming along for the ride. So I'll keep you updated on what goes on with my health and my house. But until then, just take everything one day at a time. It's what I've been doing. Love you guys.